You're listening to Popcorn and Politics. What's the real deal? Hosted by Audrey Bell Kearney and Derek J. Wilson. Asking the hard-hitting questions you want answers to from political leaders and political hopefuls from around the world.
Good afternoon, and Happy New Year. We are officially into January 2022. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. Hey, Audrey, how you doing?
Hey, Derek, how you been? How's your New Year?
It's been great. It's been great. I feel like we just got here.
No pun intended. We did just get here. What you do for New Year's?
Well, we popped some fireworks. If you follow me on social media, you saw that my kids and I were out at midnight. We was putting on a show, and yes, I did take my nap because I am over 30, and I wouldn't have been able to make it to midnight if I wasn't taking no nap. But we did that, and then the next, once we went to sleep and woke back up, I did some work. I'm always working, and then.
So your family was one of them families that was disturbing the peace all daggone night long. Like it was people.
Oh yeah.
I got home. We went to see Spider-Man, so we went to the late show because I was like, okay, we haven't gone out to do anything probably in 10 years on New Year's Eve. So we decided we were gonna go to the movies because everything is just rampant with COVID. I was like, listen, I know we go to the movies, we can sit far away from everybody, which we did, which was great. But we knew that we would bring the New Year's in at the movie. So, there's an old country saying, whatever you're doing on New Year's, that's what you're going to be doing all year long. So I guess I'll be at the movies all year long. Yeah, watching movies. But I went to go see
popping fireworks on.
Well, you do that anyway. You pop them for every occasion. I see the videos. I've seen them. But when we got home, it was like 12:30. And people pop fireworks probably good into around 2:30ish. So I said, look at them disturbing the peace. They better not have shot no guns though, because the Solicitor General had already said, you shoot a gun, catch it,
you're going to jail. And then, since you brought that up, I would hate to have been the one to go to jail because then they announced that due to COVID, that the Solicitor General office will be closed, in the month of January. I'm pretty sure they will be doing some type of virtual, but that just right there just delayed your chances of getting out a little quicker.
If you got caught, God be with you. Your first 2 days in jail, the first 2 days of the year you spend them in jail. How crazy is that? Somebody did it though. Somebody went to jail on New Year's.
Somebody. I'm pretty sure somebody did. Well, speaking of the new year, last week between our last show, we had a couple of notable deaths. The first notable in politics is Senator Harry Reid. He's the former Democrat Senate leader that was basically the one that was helping us out during the Obama years. He passed away at the age of 82.
Condolences.
Yes, and then almost made it to 22 was Betty Wright. Oh man. Betty White, yeah, my bad. I'm talking about the wrong one.
About the clean-up woman. No, Betty White, not the clean-up woman.
Yeah, Betty White. And what's ironic about that, I was just reading her article about her 100th celebration, how she was saying she was in such great health, and then Maria sends me a text, and I was like, I thought it had to be a hoax because I'm like, I just literally read her article like 2 hours ago, and. Yeah, that was sad, but 99 and 82, those are of years that I think at that point if it happens, you just say, Lord bless their life. They had a great life, and you go on.
We got to do one more though. Madden passed, and I know you.
Oh yeah,
yeah, man, John Madden. Let me tell you something. I have 2 nephews, right? My oldest nephew, I tell you no lie, Derek, every time a Madden game came out, we had to scour the earth to look for that game. It was ridiculous. I'm talking about it whenever it came out, and it was so funny because this is what my nephew would do. He would call my mom, right, say, Nana, Madden 2016 coming out, Madden 2008 coming out, Nana. And she's like, Trey called. And he said, Madden 2007 is coming out tomorrow. I'd be like, listen, ain't nobody got time to go be looking for no Madden for trade. But what did I do? Because I'm a great aunt. I go scour the earth and find whatever Madden edition came out. So Madden left a legacy as well, in the sports world and the gaming world, and
Yes, yes, he
just
did.
amazing things. So
And
I
I don't
remember
want to,
all
put my age out there. I already said I'm over 30, but I remember when Madden was like,
that.
on the Nintendo,
Yeah, yeah,
and Madden came a long way. I mean, you
yes.
went from playing the video games to my son. He just got a PlayStation 5 for Christmas, and so he has the new Madden 22, I guess, or 21, whichever the one that has Tom Brady and old buddy from KC, Patrick Mahomes,
Mm-hmm.
have them on the cover. And so I walked by his room, and it was like a Tuesday night, and I said, man, who playing on a Tuesday? He like, Dad, I'm playing the game. I'm like, God.
The graphics, man, the graphics in those games, I mean, they are beautiful.
I swear
They're
I thought
beautiful.
he was really watching the game. I'm like, who's playing on a Tuesday? This must be
Yeah.
a rerun. But
Nah,
yeah, so that was good. Yeah. So yeah, three notable heavyweights that that left us this past week. I mean, and only crazy enough, we only been separated for 7 days,
I know.
and yeah. And so, any other news you want before we jump
Yeah,
into our
man.
special
I
guest?
was scouring my news feeds, and I saw what popped up on my Twitter, and apparently Marjorie Taylor Greene has been totally permanently suspended from Twitter because once again she's putting out false information, and so
Hmm.
this time she put out some false information from some data that she collected from a system that was dilapidated, outdated, and whatever and put it out about the vaccines and the deaths that were happening because of the vaccines. And so Twitter said, you know what, that's her fifth strike. Now, normally you get 3 strikes. For some reason, she got 5. Maybe Twitter gives out 5 strikes. They were like, that's her fifth strike. Now she's permanently banned from Twitter because of the information she put out about the vaccine causing death. So I just,
Wow.
she's right here in Georgia, y'all. She's Georgia grown. And yeah.
Yeah, I think she got a hold of a bad batch of peaches.
That's a good one. She might have. That is a good one.
A
That's a good
bad
one.
batch of peaches.
Yeah.
But well, look, on some lighter news and better news, uh yeah, we have our special guest today, Mr. Austin Thompson Jr. He is the newly elected city councilman, post 3, for the city of Lawrenceville. He's the first immigrant born city councilman of African descent of the city of Lawrenceville. He's originally from the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. He gonna get me for messing that one up, which is a South America and a Caribbean Latin American region country. He's a great friend as we bring him in. Yours truly, the honorable Councilman Austin Thompson.
Welcome to Popcorn Politics.
Oh man, I'm present, but I forgot my popcorn. But it's all good.
Oh yeah, we did too. We all did.
Yeah, we said we want to do better in the new year. We done kicked off the new year
I
wrong
mean, we
already.
getting
No
it.
popcorn.
It's
I
on
ate
back
enough on
order due to
Yeah, yeah. It's
I ate
stuck out on
enough
the.
Friday night though, y'all. For real, like the movies, I had a big bucket, so and it was good. So
Oh,
it's
okay,
stuck on
okay.
the
Well, that's
loading
good.
dock.
It's stuck on the loading dock up in the ports of LA.
Yeah.
Or the port of
Yeah.
Savannah.
We can't get it out.
Oh man, but thank you.
Thank you so much for being our guest today. Congratulations on your win. I remember when I was driving down Krogan one day right before the election. I think it was the day before the election, and I
Uh-huh.
saw you standing on the corner of Jackson and Krogan. I took your picture. You didn't see me because I was in the car, and I took a picture and I sent it to Derek. I said Austin is going to win because it was a Sunday, I think, or something, or a Monday, and you were standing out there with the sign. I was like, he is determined to win, and you won. So congratulations on that. That just goes to show when you put your mind to it and you're dedicated, anything can happen. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Also, it shows dedication, perseverance, because I let you tell your story, but this is not his first time running,
Mhm.
and so kudos to you because I've seen. I don't know. I mean, was that the first time I met you and you was running, or that was like the third or fourth then?
No. We met right before I ran the first time.
Okay.
Yeah, we initially met at the Gwinnett County Fair.
Right.
Yeah.
And I remember that. So to go from there to actually see you win, like I guess I can say I actually saw the whole work. Cause I mean, cause when Austin ran in 18, was it 18? No,
Oh,
19.
2019.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
when Austin ran in 2019, most people when they run and if they don't win, then that's just, okay, it wasn't meant to be. I'm gonna find something else to do with my life. Austin, if I'm not mistaken, he can correct me if I'm wrong. The election was November, whatever. The 2 days later, Austin is at the next coffee with a candidate with his sign up. I'm running for something. Come meet me. I was like,
What you gotta
so
do.
yeah, you got to stay at it, and it was just perfect timing. I said in my last show, I believe in timing, and
Mhm.
this is the right time for to have you, as well as let's not forget uh, Marlene Taylor Crawford. She won as well. She
Yeah.
and she's post 4, right?
Yeah, she's post 4.
And she's post 4. So
Yeah.
congratulations. I mean, let's just what 4 years ago, Lawrenceville never had an African American or anyone of African descent on the council,
No.
and 4 years later they have 3.
3. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
and there's only 5 people on the you got the mayor and then 4 posts, right?
4 posts. Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so 3 out of the 5 are of African descent. So that just
Right.
tells you not only is Gwinnett County as a whole is becoming more diverse, but the cities are starting to reflect that as well. So kudos to all you all on the city council of Lawrenceville.
Thank
I
you.
just,
Thank you.
I just
The
want
floor
you
is
to give
yours.
people a backdrop of where you of your history, because I met you. You probably don't even remember this. You had an event at Discovery High School, an entrepreneurship event,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I had
Ah.
just moved here. You had a conference, and I had just moved to Georgia. That probably was around 14, 13, between 14 and
Ye-
15.
Between
Um,
14 and 15. Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
at Discovery, but I know you had this. You had a consulting agency, so you do that. But what made you want to get into politics? Let's give you a little bit of backstory.
Well, first off, immigrated from the Cooperative Republic of Guyana to Brooklyn, New York, and grew up in Brooklyn in a predominantly Caribbean Latin American community in public housing. I'm always proud to mention that because, I like for people to know that, yeah, you can be an immigrant, grow up in public housing, and still make a success of your life. It's not where you're from; it's where you're at, and it's not you're not to be a victim of your circumstance because you can always move past that. But growing up in Brooklyn, I came from a family that was very steeped in politics. Politics coming from Guyana and the Caribbean, Latin American politics, but now as immigrants in the United States, that continued for my family. So it was later in later years, I was at Medgar Evers College. I was a student at Medgar Evers College. And I had a classmate who was actually a volunteer with Jesse Jackson's campaign, the second time that Jesse Jackson ran for president. And he was with the Long Island University, LIU Brooklyn campus, LIU campus in Brooklyn. And we were sitting in class one day, and this was before the professor came in and started class. And he said, "Hey, Austin, you ever thought about volunteering for a political campaign?" And he asked me how old I am. I said, "Well, I'm 18, and I had previously registered as soon as I turned 18 for." I was eligible to vote, so I registered to vote, and then I really had no interest at that time in volunteering for political campaigns. Not that it was a turnoff or anything, but I just my life was different. I was 18. I was just starting college. I was young. I really didn't know anything about the political landscape here, and he proceeded to have a discussion with me about, Jesse Jackson, if I know who he was. I said, yeah, he ran before, and lost and so on and so forth. And he said, man, why don't you come on down, man, and meet some folks in the office. And if you're interested in volunteering, we could definitely use your help. And that was it. I was hooked. I volunteered on Reverend Jesse Jackson's campaign. and going out in the community, talking to folks. And I didn't do it on my own. I did it with other volunteers who were older than me and much more seasoned at it. But I got the bug then, and ever since then, I was always volunteering for some local politician who was running. And when I left, and that was like '87 when I met this gentleman, because it was '87 when I turned 18. And fast forward to '92 when I moved to Georgia, Bill Clinton, was running for president that year, and volunteered on that campaign. I was just excited about being involved politically, and not just being involved politically, but getting to know what the various positions were, like commission board chairperson, commission city council person, a state representative. At that time, I didn't really know much about the state representation, as far as state representative and senator and so on and so forth. And I had to really learn those positions and what the importance that they were to the state. And it grew, and I grew over the years. I just volunteered on various campaigns. I volunteered to either knock doors. I volunteered for fundraisers. I volunteered for phone banking, and it just grew from there. In 2012, I out of the blue, I was a Democrat at large, so I never belonged to any particular chapter. And in 2012, all out the blue, I got some information in the mail about running as a delegate. And I remember going over to Central Gwinnett High School, and that's where I met many of the Gwinnett Democrats that are friends today. And I remember pulling up to Central Gwinnett, and folks were like in T-shirts, they had signs, and I'm like, I had nothing but a speech. And I decided, well, I felt nervous, but I said, yeah, just go in there and just say your speech, and if you win, you win. If you don't, you don't. And I said my speech was 3 minutes. You have to basically say your speech in 3 minutes, and so I did it, and I was like the last. I think it was like 12 delegates or something like that, and I was the last person mentioned. I was the last person announced as a delegate for the 2012 DNC in Charlotte, North Carolina. And then since then I decided to be more active with the Gwinnett Democrats. Volunteered on many of the campaigns of various members, Donna McLeod being one, Jenna S. Sudan, who's no longer in Gwinnett, she's over in Rockdale, but volunteered on her campaign and so on, man. So it's been a great journey, learning about the political process, being active, and helping political candidates reach their goal. Whether they fall short of it or they were successful, it was a good experience for everybody.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. No, for those of you who don't know the individuals you named, did any of them win? Do they have any titles? So
Well, Jenna S. Sudan ran for school board, Gwinnett County School Board. She ran unsuccessfully. Donna McLeod ran unsuccessfully the first time and was successful the second time that she ran. So she's now serving in House District 105.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Look at that. He got some wins under his belt.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Coming on the 23rd, I think. When is Donna coming up? Donna's coming up soon.
She's coming up in 2020. Well, this year. We're in the new year, right?
Right.
Yeah. Things move so fast. So she is actually in the primary against Lucy McBath and Carolyn Bordeaux for the Congressional District 7 congressional, seat, the U.S. congressional seat. So, so
she'll be a guest on the show on January 23rd. So.
Okay, great. Yeah,
man, you're the what they call the parade person that leads the parade. Yeah, well, you're the first one. You're the lead of an awesome lineup that we have scheduled for January.
That's great.
We were scrambling to try to find something. Like, man, we need to find a good dynamic. And I was harassing you. Hey, Austin. You know,
I
being
know.
I'm from Houston, I like Austin. I know Austin. That's the that's the state capital.
Yeah,
I
you
can beat
know.
Austin.
And you know the funny thing, I know you chased me down, but ever since I won that election, I have been on just about everybody's podcast.
Yeah.
I've been interviewed. I've been asked to come and do videos and so on and so forth. It's great because I really like to get my message out, and especially for young African American males and females. I love to tell my story because I don't come from a background where I had a silver spoon in my mouth. I don't come from a background with green pastures. I literally have to pull up my bootstraps and just work hard, and just take the knockdowns, take the drop kicks, and just get right back up and keep moving. So man, nothing was ever paved for me. I had to really, lay the bricks as I kept going, So I like for people to understand that no matter where you are, and if it's not a desirable position, just keep working hard at it. Just keep working, never give up, man. And you won't believe it that you'll actually get to where you want to be in life.
Speaking of giving up, you have gotten to this place in Gwinnett County in Lawrenceville, and we're excited. I'm in Lawrenceville. I live in Lawrenceville. But I think I'm in unincorporated Lawrenceville. I'm still trying to understand. I'm from Jersey, so I'm still trying to understand the incorporated and the unincorporated. Like, what does that mean? It's like one town. But anyway, what are your vision? What's your vision for Lawrenceville now that you have become our councilman here? And tell because people like me. What does that mean to live in unincorporated Lawrenceville versus incorporated, and do you serve both?
Right. Well, I serve residents within the city of Lawrenceville. That's incorporated Lawrenceville, right? Mm-hmm. So we have about I say 31,000 plus residents because wherever you get your source of information, some places will say 32,000, some say 33,000, so I say 31,000 plus. Residents. So about between 31 and 33,000 residents within incorporated Lawrenceville, within the city limits of Lawrenceville. Now, if you're within the city limits of Lawrenceville, all your services are coming from the city. Your representation is coming from the city council, right? If you're in unincorporated, that means doesn't necessarily mean that all your services are coming from the county. You may have like your electric bill or so on coming from the city of Lawrenceville, but your services, like if you need any attention to a particular challenge or an issue, you would actually have to go to the county, Gwinnett County, in order to get that assistance and that service. But if you are within the city of Lawrenceville, the city limits, then the city manages 100% of your services.
Okay. So I know you have a robust. Go ahead.
Well, no, and so to understand the council is it set up like the commission where District 3 commissioner is my commissioner, so post 3 you would be my councilman if I lived in a certain area, or is it citywide?
We're all at large in our positions. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 doesn't necessarily represent a particular area of the city. So I will be a councilman. I'll be a council representative for all residents in the city of Lawrenceville. Right. We all serve on the city council to work along with the mayor to make decisions, to pass policy in the form of ordinances, and to work along with the city manager and the other city officials. But we don't represent a particular area of the city. It's basically at large.
Okay.
So now you have you won the seat. What's your vision moving? Because Lawrenceville is moving fast. Like Lawrenceville is growing. It has beautiful development going. So what's the vision? What's the vision?
Yeah. In Lawrenceville, for generations, it's been a city that's represented a certain demographic, right? And we've had residents in this city that felt underserved, underrepresented, and felt as if the city was moving in a direction that did not include them, right? The city is very progressive in terms of the construction you've seen. the construction on the Lawrenceville lawn. Now we have a full amphitheater. You see the mixed-use facilities, restaurants, and residential areas. You see the Lawrenceville Arts Center being built adjoined to the Aurora Theater. We City View, which is another residential area that's being developed. It should be about 100% complete. We see a lot of development in Lawrenceville, right? When I wrote my vision plan, and I know Derek cracked on me about that. He said, you wrote a dissertation. When I wrote my vision plan, I was really serious about pointing out and identifying all of the key areas in which I wanted to focus on. Economic development is one of them, right? Now, we know with economic development comes, the appreciation of property value and, also with the raising of taxes, property taxes, and so on and so forth. I know a lot of residents have concerns about that, but I want to basically look at economic development in a favorable manner where we can actually invite a company to take a look at setting up a division here in Lawrenceville that actually presents an opportunity for living wage jobs, right? Yeah. Now, the median household income is about $54,000, right? When we look at the average home value in Lawrenceville, it's somewhere between $260,000 to $300,000, right? Now you see homes being built all over Lawrenceville with a price tag of about $300,000, right? Apartments, very nice properties, but a one bedroom alone is like $1,600 a month, right? Now, if you are a resident and you're making, even if you were making a living wage, which is considered anywhere from $15 and up, right? It's still unaffordable for a lot of residents in our city, right? We have construction of new properties being built. But what I want to make sure on the city council, and as far and it's along the lines of economic development, because we have to look at discretionary income, right? We have to look at adding jobs that are bringing salaries to workers of $15 to $18 to $20 an hour, right? Residents who have that opportunity working for those positions will now have increased discretionary income to go out and shop and spend money within the local areas, local bars, restaurants, retail outlets, go to a matinee at the Aurora Theater, Lawrenceville Arts Center, so on and so forth, right? That's always good because now we have an increased cash infusion into the business sector of the city because, individuals are making more money. So I want to be able to make sure that when I'm reviewing plans, we are looking at companies that wouldn't mind taking a look at Lawrenceville. Hey, I have a division. I have a manufacturing division. We're looking for a location. All right, we're looking at Alpharetta. We're looking at Dunwoody. We're looking, here, there, and everywhere. Hey, what about Lawrenceville? Right. And what are those salaries? So I want to be able to be a part of that decision making, right? Another thing is a transportation shuttle. I know Derek presented to me what I want to do within my first 100 days and these things that I want to present. Transportation shuttle, I believe, will be a very successful addition to the city. I've taken a look at other cities within similar size of Lawrenceville. Now, Thanksgiving week, I was out in Fort Walton Beach, Destin, Florida. I was enjoying the beach. I was enjoying the beach life. But I wasn't really just relaxing. I was harassing city officials too. If I saw them, I was questioning them. They have a shuttle that goes around Destin and Fort Walton Beach. So I reached out to the person who manages that service, and I was asking questions about, about the shuttle service, how it operates, so on and so forth. I was looking at other cities in Jersey, in Minnesota, again, in municipalities that are similar size, because I wanted to really see how it benefits. What is the benefit? What's the economic benefit and impact, of getting people around the city, giving these shops and these retail outlets an opportunity to see an increase in foot traffic based on folks having access to a shuttle service that can get them to the shops. Not everybody can, not everyone has a car. Not everyone can afford a taxi or Uber. We have our elderly, who are physically, unable to get out on their own. But if we had a shuttle service that can get around the city to the key points of the city, number one, we'll see more people being able to get to the city. We'll take an interest in shopping in the city. Number two, we'll have an opportunity for an environmentally friendly vehicle or vehicles that really do not add pollution and emissions to the environment, because they're running on battery powered or energy efficient systems. So those are part of the economic the economic development plans that I really want to focus on. The shuttle service, living wage jobs, and making sure that when we're looking at what companies are looking to set up in Lawrenceville, we can invite companies who will actually add living wage jobs to the city. Because we really got to take care of our residents, our legacy residents, the ones who've grown up here and so on and so forth. Right. The residents who are coming in, a lot of these folks who are coming in now are folks, and this is through canvassing, this is through getting out and speaking to folks. A lot of folks are actually moving back to Lawrenceville. They've had the opportunity to live in California, live in New York, live in Pennsylvania, so on and so forth, amass a certain amount of wealth, and they're able to come back to Lawrenceville and buy those $300,000 homes and live in those $1,500, $1,600 one-bedroom apartments. But what about our legacy residents? What about the residents in our community who fears gentrification and fears displacement? They need representation. They need someone who can address their concerns on the city council. And I want to be that person. I want to be that person that brings fairness and equitable decision-making on the city council.
That's amazing. I got a quick
question for you. That is amazing. It sounds great. I got a couple of questions. I got 3 questions actually.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to start with the economic development side first, because that's my baby when it comes to that. But my thing, yes, this is my question. A lot of times when they're planning to do things that pertains to economic development, it always leaves out the small business owners, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And
is there anything in your plan where we can bridge the gap between the small business owner and the companies that you're actually romancing to come into Lawrenceville? Because I feel like a lot of times when they're doing economic development, the small business owners that are located here already get left out, kind of. I kind of posed this question at I was on a focus group with the Rowing Project. That's a huge project, right?
Yeah.
And so I know that after we had our little focus group, they do have something on their website saying, hey, this is how you can get involved as a small business. But right here in the city of Lawrenceville, is there a plan to bridge that gap between the small business owner and the companies that you are trying to attract to come into Lawrenceville?
Well, I plan as a small business consultant and as someone who has worked over 15 years with small businesses, with entrepreneurs, micro business owners, I do plan to work with small businesses first to find out, what services and what resources are available to help our small businesses emerge from COVID successfully. We got to look at those businesses that have been harmed. Revenues have been harmed, reduced revenue, reduced customer base, reduced profits, reduced labor, right? Based on COVID, right? We have many small business owners who are struggling now to hire people, right? And to get workers into their businesses. We also have entrepreneurs who are, faced with mental issues and mental fatigue and stress, because it's a day-to-day operation. I don't know if I'm going to have my business open tomorrow. I don't know if I can keep my doors open next week, because I'm worrying now about this new Omicron variant. Now we might be faced with a lockdown. People are afraid. We see all those flight cancellations over the holidays, cancellations and folks who cancel their reservations because they're unwilling to travel. So this is a reality for many of our small businesses, and small businesses drive the economy, not just the national economy, but the local economy. 66% of all net jobs, right, are created by small businesses. So we really have to be mindful of that. I want to be mindful of that. And I want to make sure that when we talk about economic development, now, how do we give a small business owner who is a software developer, a small business manufacturer, a small business owner who is in the financial space, right? We have to look at who's in the space? Who do we have as small business operators in the city of Lawrenceville? The Gwinnett Entrepreneurship Center, which is a facility that recently had its ribbon cutting. I was privileged to be there. The center manager, I've known her going on 10 years, they have a phenomenal individual who is going to manage that facility. But we have to look at those entrepreneurs who will take up residence in the Gwinnett Entrepreneurship Center. We also have to look at Cornerstone, right, which is a facility that houses small business owners as well. So if we're looking at, bringing living wage jobs to the city, let's first look at who do we have, right, in our presence in the Lawrenceville area that we can encourage. We can determine what grants are needed, what resources are needed, to help these small businesses grow. As we all know, you look at Dell, you look at Microsoft, they all started like in a dorm room or in a garage. These guys, Facebook, seriously, left college in order to start Facebook. Mike Zuckerberg, right? Yeah. So we all know that many of these global conglomerates that we see today started in a dorm room, started in somebody's bedroom, right? Started in some place like Cornerstone or like the Gwinnett Entrepreneurship Center. And they grew their brand, they grew their product, their service, they blossomed, they became national names and then became global names as they expanded. So, we just have to look and see who we have among us. And my plan really is to engage our small business community, because I want to be sure that we can help them grow. We can help them find the resources, find access and connection to the resources that they need in order to grow. And another thing too, COVID-19 and this pandemic is going to be with us for a while. So engaging the small businesses and engaging them and finding out how we can help them leverage the services like from the SBA. I've had working relationships with the SBA. Tony Dennison was a speaker at one of my conferences. She's now running the Atlanta office. The SBDC, Small Business Development Center, the SCORE office, right? Many of these agencies I've already built relationships with, and I want to be able to reach out to them and say, hey, let's now work with our small businesses in the Lawrenceville area, because yes, we can see growth and we can see expansion from them.
Does the city of Lawrenceville have any working partnerships or relationships with the Entrepreneur Center and Cornerstone?
Yes, they do. They to an extent where they're building that relationship. The city officials were out at the ribbon cutting of the Gwinnett Entrepreneurship Center, and of course, we have Cornerstone here. But the relationships have been built, and again, I can't speak for what has happened or transpired before me coming onto the city council, but I know they have built that relationship, and if they are resources that are needed by these small businesses, if it cannot be managed by the city, then we look to the county or we look to neighboring offices like the SBA and SBDC to bring them in to help these small businesses.
Okay.
One of the things you said something about bringing in companies that provide a living wage so that people can actually afford to live in Lawrenceville. And I want to pose this question because if you look at South Lawn, which is downtown Lawrenceville, it's a new right behind the amphitheater down there. Right. When they first started building that development, the houses were $200,000, and so right after COVID, which was kind of weird because people were saying nobody had money during COVID. Well, that jumped from $200,000 to $400,000, and that literally they had to put the tape on the $200,000 and put $400,000. So although they were saying there was no money available, there was some money from somewhere, because not only did it jump, people were buying them. But for people who are still trying to figure out, I want to live here, how am I going to afford that? What's the plan for affordable housing? Because I don't see a plan, Austin. I'm just going to be honest with you. Every price, I went somewhere the other day, I forgot where I was. It was here in Lawrenceville. It was a new subdivision, $700,000. I want to say over by the subdivision over by, I think, Central Gwinnett. I think it was $700,000. I was like, what in the world? So I don't see affordable housing. So what's the plan? Because I know you said that you wanted to, but the prices seem like they're just going up and up and up.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know in conversation, I know there are plans to work in affordable housing for residents. Right now, I'm not familiar with the name of the particular housing community, but it was on the corner of Neal Boulevard and 124, and that's the housing authority that handles that, right?
Okay.
That's not the city, right? So the housing authority has their jurisdiction that they manage, right, for affordable housing for residents in a particular economic bracket. But as far as the city is concerned, I know that there is discussion out there about affordability. Right now, we have to look at affordability in terms of one's means to generate income, right? Because what's affordable to one person is not affordable to another individual, right?
Right.
So I want to be able to present a discussion where we look at affordability in terms of phases, right? We can look at, okay, if you are generating anywhere up to 40,000, let's look 40,000 a year. Let's look at let's discuss what affordability looks like for residents like that. If from 40 to about 80, 85 a year, let's look at what affordability means to an individual generating that type of income, right? Anywhere from 90 a year and upwards, then we look at that. Because again, what's affordable to John is not affordable to Jack, and we really have to be mindful of that, because what I see, and especially, again, I am one who was actively knocking doors. I saw a lot of residents who were transplants from other states. So are we importing residents, who can afford these properties? Well, what about our legacy residents, right? And especially those who, for years have, generated income in a certain range. So, and again, now that I will be active in these discussions, these are the things that I want to be mindful of, because economic equality is something that we really need to take a look at and to really be mindful of, right? I know there are particular areas in Lawrenceville that have always felt overlooked, always felt underserved, because no one came out and spoke to them and discussed anything with them because, of the predominant demographic in that particular area, right? So that's something that I really want to be able to look at and be mindful of, because again, we really need to look at affordable housing, especially if we want to reduce homelessness in Lawrenceville, reduce displacement. And we can't force people out of their homes because they can't afford to pay for it, or they can't afford to pay for an apartment. So that's something that, I really want to bring to the discussion.
Well, you just created a question, because I was just about to say that the city was actually doing a good job, because I was about to mention the Lawrenceville Housing Authority, but now you said that's a separate entity.
Yeah.
So I'm confused now. So because I do know that the Housing Authority has been doing, like, making inroads when it come down to affordable housing in Lawrenceville in particular. So is that so you said it's a separate entity. So is there any parts of the city that's connected to that entity, or is it just completely separate? You guys have no input or anything on that?
When I first started campaigning, I had no idea. When you say the Lawrenceville Housing Authority, I'm thinking it's all part of the city of Lawrenceville, managed by the city council. Right. Now, I come from New York. When you say New York City Housing Authority, that's managed by the city officials, right? It's not a separate entity. So I really had to learn, because there were some things that I mentioned that I had to go back and correct, because it was an educational process. But the Lawrenceville Housing Authority is a separate entity, right? Totally disconnected from the city council and the city management, right? So the housing authority, they receive grants for their services and for the residents in their housing units, right? That's totally separate from the city council. Yes, so we wouldn't have any decision making over that, anything that they need to do, you know.
Okay.
But they are looking at opportunities, like some of the developments you see now. Some of them are being torn down because they're old, and they're having new developments built. If you look on Constitutional Boulevard, those new developments now house the residents who were in those developments on Neal Boulevard and 124 across from that little church, right? Yeah. So Hooper Renwick School is still there, right? But the housing complex that was once, existent in that particular area next to Hooper Renwick, those residents have been relocated now to that new development on Constitutional Boulevard. That's all managed by the Lawrenceville Housing Authority. So so they are working to, and those are new developments with new amenities, updated amenities. So yeah, so they're working to do what they have to do for the residents in the housing, and I have to say in the housing units within the city of Lawrenceville.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
You mentioned transportation. We do by us adding so many residents to Lawrenceville, the congestion is becoming nuts. So if you come down Sugarloaf or Grayson Highway or Scenic Highway 124 between the hours of 4 and 6, you're stuck. So I didn't even realize we had a transportation issue in the city of Lawrenceville because it's so many cars on the road. But you said that you're going to have these micro transportation systems that you want to test out. Now, I know that did very well in Snellville when they ran their pilot program. Is that your intention to the one that they ran in Snellville?
Well, it's going to be similar, and it's going to operate only within the city limits of Lawrenceville. But if you look at my vision plan, you will see that I have plans for it to be connected to Gwinnett County Transit, right? So you can, and I've been on Gwinnett County Transit because I've been without a vehicle, back in the day. So, which was just as part of the story. Yeah. So, you can connect to Gwinnett County Transit, right? That will take you to Gwinnett Place Mall, and then you can transfer to a bus that takes you to Chamblee Station, right? And at Chamblee Station, you could be connected to MARTA, right? As the shuttle service, what I envision will take you anywhere around, like say to the Gwinnett, Georgia Gwinnett College, right? And Gwinnett Technical College. So we have the students who want to be connected, and many students don't have vehicles of their own, right? So we want to be able to connect our students to the city of Lawrenceville, right? And I know there are plans in the 2040 vision plan. There are plans to connect students from those two universities to, because it's because we want Lawrenceville, the city of Lawrenceville, to be a college town, right? But that shuttle service will be able to assist with that. Going to the Gwinnett Justice and Administration Center, GJAC, right? If you have to be at a court session or handle business there. Going to Northside Hospital, if you need to get to the hospital, right? Coming to downtown Lawrenceville, if you want to get food to eat or to patronize any business in the city, right? So what I'm proposing is strategic connection points, right? That the shuttle will be able to take folks around. And this is just so that folks can feel good about not having to drive. If you don't want to drive to come to downtown, if you want to drive to go to GJAC or something, you can feel free to get on a shuttle that will take you around to these points, right? Because it's not every time you want to get in your vehicle, right? So if we could work on a plan, right, to have a certain number of shuttles, right, on a schedule, a 7-day schedule, right, that are taking vehicles off the street, right, alleviating that traffic. Those major arteries that go through the city can see now reduced vehicular traffic because now we have shuttles that residents and visitors to Lawrenceville can depend on, right? And again, it really helps those who are unable to, get transportation. If they don't have a car, if they can't drive, They don't have the finances to afford Uber or Lyft. And to those who are at a physical disadvantage and can get on a shuttle, we have shuttles that, that can help those, they have all those individuals, transport them around the city. Now, this helps now the businesses in the downtown area now see increased traffic coming through their doors, because for those individuals who once had limited means of transportation now can access the shuttles, So that's part of the plan. We just have to work out the nuts and bolts and how we can get it work. The financing, so on and so forth. The major discussions now come into play to see this come to fruition.
All right. You know what I noticed when we talk about transit, I noticed a particular demographic that a lot of people seem to overlook or don't mention, and it's the new employment demographic, and I say that as my first job, I took the bus. I took the bus to work. If I had to depend on my parents to get me to and from work, I probably wouldn't work because they was at work. Right. And so I was grateful because here in Gwinnett, if you have a 16-year-old, 16, 17-year-old that's in high, I think they can start maybe at 15. I know in Texas we could, right. But a 15, 16-year-old that doesn't have a car, how are they getting back and forth from work? And again, I'm learning as I have a high schooler now, because by the time I got in my junior year in high school, I was able to leave school early. I was even leaving school at 12 or 1 o'clock to go to work. Right. And so 12 or 1 o'clock, you and I at work. We at work. Audrey, we at work. So, Michael calls and said, Dad, I gotta go to work. I can't help him because I'm at work. Right. And so I think that will, that's a major matter of fact, that Snellville microtransit was heavily used by the high school kids. It got to the point where, it was, they were starting to complain a little bit, but it was heavily used by the high school kids because it allowed that the same independence that we said it allowed the elderly. It allows the youth to have that as well, because now if I own a Subway and I have employees that are in high school now, they have no excuse of why they couldn't get to work.
Audrey coming from New Jersey, she knows. I come out from New York, from Brooklyn, and you don't own a car if you live in the 5 boroughs. A car is a luxury; it's not a necessity. Yeah. And you have buses that come every 2, 3, 4 minutes, and they come in sometimes 2 at a time. You could jump on the train station that will take you from Brooklyn to the Bronx to Queens, to different parts of Queens, different parts of Brooklyn. If you ever looked at a New York City subway map, you would get cross-eyed because there's so many different arteries and pathways that you can get around New York. And then you connect to Long Island Railroad that brings you out to Long Island. And then, you have somebody to take you upstate New York, whatever. You got the New Jersey Transit or the PATH train that takes you into New Jersey. So you have different means of whenever I go back to New York, which is sometimes once or twice a year, I don't rent a car because I don't need to rent a car, Yeah. But if I would love to see the same opportunity here, I would love to see, residents be able to get where they need to get and not have to worry about how they're going to get from point A to point B because they don't have transportation.
Austin, it's funny you say that because I did live in Jersey and I lived in Maplewood. So where I lived in Maplewood, there was a train station that went straight into New York. And I remember I had a meeting at the Pennsylvania Hotel, at Pennsylvania Hotel. So the Pennsylvania Hotel is right across the street from Madison Square Garden. So the train dropped right off inside of Madison Square Garden. I just got out the train and walked across. I didn't want to drive. Now, I don't mind driving New York, but this particular day, I did not feel like driving New York. Kind of like I feel about going to Atlanta most of the time. Like I would love to be able to go out to 124 Grayson and jump on a train and just go to Atlanta and just spend the day and then jump on the train and come back, which is what I did. I went right over to Madison Square to the hotel, Went,
Right.
had lunch, did my meeting, and jumped on the train and came right back home. I parked my car at the train station and I came on home.
Right.
I can't wait till the day when we can do that. Now I know a lot of people are so opposed to the whole transit, MARTA plan and all that stuff. I personally, like you said, we grew up there. That's how we rolled.
Yeah.
And so we drove in Jersey, but when it was time to go to the city, it was like I ain't driving to New York because they drive crazy. Jump on the train.
Yes.
Jump on the train and go over there. So I think that's amazing. Even when I think about the elderly, a lot of times they don't feel comfortable, in an Uber because they don't know the people. They feel like they're strangers.
Exactly.
Like I have my uncle's elderly, and we just got him very comfortable going in Lyft. He's very comfortable, but it took a minute. It took a minute to the point he was in Jersey, so he had no problem jumping on a bus.
Right.
Like you
Well,
said,
they told us growing up, don't speak to strangers. Stranger danger.
Yeah.
Right.
Now we jumping in stranger cars.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's going to be a benefit for the elderly as well, because it's a lot different getting in a car with one person than getting on a bus with 12. It's a lot, a lot different. So I feel like that's
out there in Jersey, New York, don't y'all Texas?
That's in Jersey. That's in New York. We don't do that in Jersey.
Yeah.
We don't catch taxis.
Y'all didn't do that.
No.
If you're in Manhattan, you drive up and down. You could hail a cab wherever. But then again, it's the same thing. You got like 300 taxis on the corner.
Big one.
They all lined up. So New York is and Washington D.C. I think Chicago. So we have cities that, these are major cities, but we have cities that are transportation friendly, and they look out for their residents. And just because that we're a smaller city doesn't mean that we can't have the same thing. Now, we might not need a train station, going through Lawrenceville or anything, but if we can provide a means to increase opportunities or access to transportation and access to, like let's say the hospital and downtown and the colleges, that would be great. Because the colleges are not only a place where you go to learn, but they're also employers, right? Mm-hmm. Georgia Gwinnett College is an employer. Gwinnett Technical College is an employer. GJAC is an employer. Northside is an employer, right? So we have to really, really think about how we can get our residents more access to transportation. Yeah.
So, I want to, how can our community reach out to you to support you if they have questions? Because I feel like, although you are as city councilman, there are some things that we probably be able to do too. What can the community do to help you move the vision forward, and how can they reach out to you?
And how can they reach your vision?
Yeah. All through my campaign, I have been encouraging the residents to reach out to me, to contact me. One way is through my email, right? The email is austin.thompson@lawrencevillega.org. Okay, that's one. My phone number, I always give out my phone number, is 404-587-3949. My campaign website is now being transformed into a repository of information. So all the information about my journey and ways in which folks can connect with me will be on vote4austinthompson.com. All right, that's vote for FOR AustinThompson.com, and also on the first and third Saturday of every month, Coffee with Councilman Thompson will be at the Euro Gourmet Cafe, and I will be there the 15th of January, and then February we'll start with the first and the third Saturday. So the Euro Gourmet Cafe, which is 488 Gwinnett Drive, sits on the corner of Scenic and Gwinnett Drive. So that's an opportunity for anyone in the city to come and sit down with me, have a cup of coffee with me. Let's talk about Lawrenceville. This is a different dynamic other than a phone call or an email. This is an opportunity to sit one-on-one, or how many ever want to RSVP and come sit with me, and let's talk Lawrenceville. Let's talk about how we're going to advance Lawrenceville forward. I don't want this to be my journey. I want this to be our journey, because this victory was not my victory. This was our victory. I didn't elect myself. Yeah, my one vote. Yeah. But
Every vote counts.
Every vote counts, right? Even your own. But you voted for me, and you put me into this office. So I definitely want to engage, and I will still continue going around the community to speak to individuals. Because I'm an engaging person. I love to engage folks. In COVID, we've been forced to do this virtual thing over screens and laptops and so on and so forth. But I'm a face-to-face person, and we can stand 6 feet of distance and masks and all that, and still have a conversation. But these are the different ways in which folks can reach me, and I encourage folks: don't sit back with issues and challenges and don't reach out. I am making it public that I am open for conversation. I am open for engagement, and I want individuals to reach me. I may not have all the answers at the time when you contact me, but I rest assured I will research and get back to you with the answers. I don't like to make up answers. I want to give you the answer that really matters and the answer that's factual. So I don't have a problem with telling you, let me research that and get back to you. I don't have a problem with that, but please engage me. I'm open.
When are the city council meetings?
City council meetings are the last Monday of every month, the final Monday at every month at City Hall. And it's on the 4th floor in the city council chambers at 7:00 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Austin.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
This has been amazing. Thank you again for being our guest. Listen, guys, I hope you enjoyed this as much as we enjoy having Austin on the show. He has a great vision for Lawrenceville and Gwinnett County. I'm so happy to be a part of that. I look forward to pushing your vision as far as I can help you push it. So I'll be sure to contact you pretty soon. Probably like, oh God, that's that lady again from that podcast.
No. Not at all.
So thank you again. So listen.
Yeah, I really appreciate you all for inviting me on your platform to engage you and also to, engage your listeners. And I want to wish you all much success, immense success as you go forward on this new journey with Popcorn and Conversation. Congratulations.
Thank you. All right. So listen, that's all we got. We'll have another great guest next week. So be sure to tune in. Listen, 2022, we're bringing it live. We're bringing him live to Popcorn and Politics. So make sure you join us every Sunday at 1 p.m. live. We are streaming on American One Radio, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Roku. So we're everywhere. So be sure to check us out. But don't fret if you miss any episode of the show. Just go to popcornandpolitics.com and you can listen to the past episodes there. All right. Thanks again, Austin. Thanks again, Derek. Listen, you guys have a wonderful Sunday. I will be back again next Sunday, 1 p.m., same time, same place. Until next time, my friends, make it a great day. Bye, y'all.
You've been listening to Popcorn in Politics. What's the real deal? Hosted by Audrey Bell Kearney and Derek J. Wilson. Be sure to subscribe to the show and share it with your family and friends. To support the show, visit us on the web at www.popcornandpolitics.com. Connect with us on Facebook at Progressive Popcorn and on Instagram at Popcorn Politics Podcast.